I'm Chris.
And I'm Kylie. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation. All right, we're back.
After an inside-out shirt, tripping, spilling our coffee.
We're still here. We're thriving. But this is all the things that go on behind the scenes. We have Haley with us today still to talk more about focus. We covered ADHD, but we can't just leave you with, swirling thoughts around your ADHD that you might potentially have without giving you some more tools and resources for how to focus. Because focus is something that one, affects everybody. So it's not just ADHD people that need to focus. We all need to focus in order to advance our goals and get shit done.
And I feel like focus is so big because it's kind of like direction. You can be going really fast, but if you're going in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter. So having that correct vision and focus. That's why I love the list you guys have at your house, because you're giving yourself a visual representation of what you need to be doing and keeping your goal at the heart of your activity.
Always. I think the things that hinder focus, one, is not having vision, right? If you don't know where you're going and what you're doing things for, you're far less motivated to push through the suck. If something sucks, and like taxes we talked about, taxes still suck. I don't care who you are. Taxes suck, and you have to be able to get your taxes done in order to continue to grow your business. You can't just, rack up a bill with the IRS and then expect things to run smoothly for you, right? That doesn't allow you to progress to your goals because you're now creating road bumps for yourself along the way. But if we don't know where we're going, right, we're really just kind of spinning our wheels, and yes, things are moving, but not forward. They're just moving in place.
Well, you remember when we started working out together, and I kept saying, when I was really struggling, I kept saying, I'm just thinking about what my body's going to look like in 3 months.
You had a vision.
I had a vision, and so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know I don't really feel like pushing through these last 50 lunges, but I know what I want my butt to look like. I know what I want my legs to look like, especially what my body looked like before I had my daughter, and knowing how strong I was and how active I was. I couldn't keep giving myself an excuse of, oh, well, I have a kid now, my life is busy. Well, my life's going to keep being that way.
It's not ever going to be less busy. I hate to tell you.
So what do I do now, and what do I prepare for now for the next 3 months?
Well, and I think things that hinder focus, going back to that list, not having deadlines or pressure. I remember when we first started working out, you're like, I want to have a banging body by summer. I want to look good, feel good by the pool. That was something you visualized. You had an end goal in mind, right? And here we are. And you have been consistent every single day. I mean, consistent week over week over week. And sure, there's some weeks that maybe you got 4 workouts in, and some that you might have gotten 3 or 5, right? But you
absolutely
stayed consistent by continuously getting to the gym.
Well, so I was working out with you guys for a little bit, and then you got in your
broke my hand.
Broke your hand, which is in another podcast if you haven't listened. So that happened. So then we stopped working out, and then I started working out with my friend Destiny. Then she started not feeling good, stopped working out with her. And then my friend Kaylee, her and I were working out hard. I mean, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. And then she went and got pregnant on me. And that first trimester is holding her down. So I started going by myself. But what I had to do, because I do have better workouts when I'm working out with somebody. I know this sounds so weird, but sometimes I would set my phone up like it's recording me to hold myself accountable. So we call it body doubling. it gives you that sense of pressure and accountability. And so I would kind of use myself to train myself and mirror what I wanted to do. You know, one of the big things that we talk about is act as if. You know, if I want to be successful in whatever I'm doing, my social media client, his goal is to be monetized. You have to have 10,000 followers on Instagram to be monetized, right? And I said, okay, we have to think backwards from our goal. If your goal is to be monetized, we know that that means you need to have 10,000 followers on Instagram. If you were somebody that had 10,000 followers on Instagram, how would you dress? How would you act? How would you talk to people? And if you want that in 6 months, what are your 6 monthly goals to get you to that? And then break it down even simpler. What are your 6 weekly goals? For every month, you need to have weekly goals and then the daily goals. When we break it down to the ridiculous, it seems way more feasible.
Yeah.
And even with the Sling app, when it pops up weekly and it's like, okay, what have you accomplished? What are you struggling with? What are things that you need to work on? Those little mental check-ins and being realistic with ourselves is huge.
Yep. And I think it allows you to stay focused. And when I think about other things that get in the way of focus, it's definitely distractions. Mm-hmm. We get distracted by all of the things that pop up that we didn't plan for, or, you know, that come our way throughout the day. Kids can be a distraction. Mm-hmm. Phones can be a distraction. Our notifications can be a distraction.
Huge.
Anxiety and stress can be a distraction. And not having a plan is also a distraction, because then you're far more, you know, I'm going to shoot from the hip and make decisions on the fly, and what you're going to end up with is a bunch of activity that might not necessarily get you closer to your vision, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then also lack of interest. We talked about in our last episode with ADHD, it's all about channeling your interest. And sometimes you have to generate interest.
Yes.
So what I mean by that, if we are going to focus on something that we really want to achieve, you may not have interest in all aspects of it. So like taxes, like I have no interest in taxes, but what I do have an interest in is keeping my business compliant and out of legal trouble.
And not going to jail.
And, you know, making sure we're in good standing and can operate.
Yeah.
Right? So I have to generate interest in my taxes. And when I was doing it and like categorizing my expenses and stuff, I was thinking, oh, this is interesting because now it's going to give me a big picture of how I spend my money and where I need to make adjustments. So that's useful information. And I tried to talk myself into it and think like, okay. And then I even sat back and I was like, you know, I wonder if it was better for me to do my expenses in like a weekend, taking up 12 hours of my weekend, or if I should have broken this down and done it more quarterly. And then I was, you know, it's an interesting observation then, because then you can make adjustments and notice how you're spending your time and prioritizing, right?
Well, and what's working and what's not working. And I think that's a huge thing, because I read a book by Brian Tracy a long time ago called Failing Forward. Is it Brian Tracy or John Maxwell? One of them. But it's huge because when we have those moments, it's like, okay, now that I know it's not as scary as I thought it was going to be to sit down and do this mundane task, if I can break it down into little weekly things, but you don't know that until you go through it.
Right.
When we can take those things that have derailed us, for me, social media was a huge distraction because I do a lot with social media, and with my social media clients, what I did was I turned off all my Instagram notifications. So nothing's popping up when I'm working on other things. I purposely took that distraction away from myself because I know me.
We have to make rules. It's about creating the rules and the boundaries that are going to optimize your productivity.
Yep, the
your
discipline.
Focus.
So the definition of discipline is giving yourself a command and following through with it. Discipline and vision go hand in hand, because if you can't be disciplined, because motivation can only take us so far.
Yep.
If you are not, I'm not always motivated to go work out. I'm not always motivated to clean my house. I'm not always motivated to pack 500 million bags and take my daughter to the pool. Okay. But when I have the discipline and I know the outcome of it, and I can say, okay, well, yesterday I'm cleaning my floors. If I get my floors done, I don't have to do this for another month where I do a deep clean on my floors. I know the outcome is going to be way more valuable. And so it gives me the dopamine rush to say, okay, we can get this done. And then I can move on to my next task. And even, I know it sounds like out of reach for some people, but making a vision board, like your vision board that's on your guys' fridge, the irony is not lost on me that when I was dog sitting for you guys a month ago, there was a picture of your dream ring. And do you know what's on your fridge now? A congratulations card that you are engaged.
Yeah.
Because you are focusing your frequency and focusing your vision and your energy on the things you want. So the outcome has to be that. But then when we focus and ruminate on, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed about XYZ, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Every time.
Wherever our intention goes, energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to have intentions in the right place. And your vision should guide your intentions always.
Yep.
That's how you're going to get to where you want to go in the most efficient way possible.
Absolutely.
And I am all about efficiency. Like, my brain has been created for efficiency. That is my main motivator. I want to do things as efficiently as possible.
Even your fridge. It's so organized.
It has to be. Otherwise, like, I can't see where stuff's at, and if I can't see it in the fridge, I won't eat it because I don't know it's there.
There's a pack of blueberries that's been in my fridge for probably like 3 weeks
I
now.
think it's probably a pack of penicillin at this point.
It's got to go. But it had got pushed back by another box that either Jason or I had put in the fridge. And it just goes to show those little tiny micro movements that we make every day. If we're not moving with intention, I think that's something that Jason and I are trying to work on now, is doing things with a shared vision. Because if I'm working on coaching in my lash business and I'm moving everything in this direction, and Jason's doing his coaching and his business development over here, and we don't have a shared vision in the middle, no wonder we're having this power struggle in our relationship, which I don't think people talk about enough. If you don't have a shared vision in your relationship, whether it's your romantic relationship, your friendships, your business relationships.
Yep.
If we were all on a different page with Odyssey coaching,
yep,
we wouldn't be getting anywhere.
No.
But because we have a shared vision, there's been so many serendipitous connections that have been made in the last 3 weeks, today.
Yes.
At the library.
Yes. We have this shared vision, and I know how, like, when we made the decision to get an office space, it was because I understood exactly how Chris would use the office. I understood exactly how I would use the office. I understood how you would use the office and, like, the rest of our team, too. I saw a place for everyone to utilize this space to get to where they want to go faster. Right? Yep. And I'm all about efficiency. So if this office is going to get us to where we want to go faster, this is aligned with our vision. It makes sense for me to focus on this.
Absolutely.
So you think about, like, that's your filter for focus. Does this get me to where I want to go faster? It's also why I made the decision to stop drinking. Yep. I had to take a hard look in the mirror and say, is alcohol getting me closer to my goals?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, it's fucking not. It's not in any way, shape, or form. You could say, oh, well, I hear this all the time from clients in sales. Yep. Oh, I can't not drink because I have so many networking events and everybody drinks at those. And, like,
they feel like they have to drink the Kool-Aid, but why are you choosing to drink that Kool-Aid?
Well,
Literally.
I still go to networking events. I still do all of the business development that I was doing when I was drinking. I just drink a water instead of a, margarita or whatever.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit what's in my cup.
No, there's sometimes I take like a Celsius.
Yeah.
I'll take an energy drink with me somewhere instead of, because I'm not drinking either. And it's so funny the reaction people have when you tell them that you don't drink, especially as a woman, because what's the first assumption?
Are you pregnant?
Are you pregnant? No.
Yeah.
I know me, and I know it is a waste of money for me personally. It is not something that's going to allow me to be productive tonight. And part of the reason I stopped drinking is because the next day I would have so much anxiety about Anxiety. What did I say? Did I say too much? Did I cross the line with somebody? Or
did I embarrass myself? Did I embarrass my
Yes.
spouse?
And then now, today, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing the things that I needed to get done. I don't want to go to the grocery store. And I tell people all the time, you cannot have a hangover and a toddler at the same time. It doesn't coexist.
No, it
Not
sounds
pleasantly.
brutal.
Extremely brutal.
Yeah.
And it is a depressant.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's, again, with ADHD, specifically the correlation between alcoholism or addiction in general, if we know it's not serving us, and there's a lot of high performance people that they choose not to drink. So if I'm going to act as if I want to be, if I'm already the 7 or 8 figure income earner in my head, what are most successful 7 and 8 figure earners doing?
Not drinking.
They're not drinking. There's a Napoleon Hill book that I found for Jason at this thrift store. It's like a 1970s edition with the gold. I mean, it looks like a Bible.
Is it Think and Grow Rich?
No, it's the Success Laws.
Ooh.
But it's like 15 of his books into one. It's a limited edition. I don't know how I lucked out and found this thing. But there's a page in there, and it literally says when we think of the most successful people in our world, like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, you never hear about them going wild at parties. You never hear of them being outrageously loud and disruptive. And when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. The people that have really impacted our culture in the biggest ways positively,
Yep.
they don't drink. And not because they just don't want to drink. They're purposefully saying, I'm going to be disciplined. I have certain things I'm trying to do. And anything that's not aligned with my vision, I'm taking it off the board.
Yep.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah. So staying the course and filtering things through your vision is absolutely probably the biggest tip that we could give on how to stay focused, because then you can get through anything with the end in mind. You're letting that guide your decisions. We also talked about riding the wave in our last conversation. So this is going with the flow and literally riding the productivity wave when it hits, and start noticing, pay attention to those patterns. When does the wave hit you? Is it typically in the morning? Is it typically in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? Yep. What do you enjoy doing when the wave hits, right? Let's start planning and optimizing our day based on how you operate best, right? Yep. Stop fighting it. Just because you read a book called the 5 a.m. Club and it says you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. If your wave is not at 5 a.m. and you feel like you're dragging ass at 5 a.m., you may need to sleep until 6 a.m. Like, just because one person has found productivity in one way doesn't mean it's a one size fits all.
Absolutely. Because we're in the age of information. There's so much information out there right now.
Including this podcast. You don't have to listen to half the shit we say.
But you should.
I mean, we're telling you what's worked for us, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everybody. Part of personal development is personally developing, and you might need a different path.
Well, and I think that's the most important part, because even with some of the things Jason and I do, people think that we're really boring. because we call it trash TV. We don't watch trash TV. Jason is one of the most intentional people I've ever met in my life. So he wants to live in France one day. He wants to have a family compound. He's got it all mapped out. So when I come home, he has YouTube on. It's either Steve Harvey, Joshua Davis, the boxer. He watches his stuff. Or it's walking tours of France, Greece, all the places that we want to travel to. Or it's a mansion tour.
Yeah.
He's so intentional with his vision. And I think that that's what stops some people is they're worried about other people's judgment of, like for us, okay, we don't drink. What are people going to say about me not wanting to drink? If we're in the car, sometimes my sister will be like, oh my God, you guys are so boring. Are we going to listen to an audio versus listening to whatever music? Well, sometimes that's how we have to start our day is saying, okay, I'm going to listen to my program or my Audible, set the tone and intention for my day. And then if I want to sprinkle in some fun in there, I can. But to us, it is fun.
It's energy before action, right? You're cultivating the energy that you need to get yourself into the zone and create that flow state. So we have to be mindful of our energy.
Yep.
If you don't feel like doing something, you're not going to have as much success. You have to feel like doing it before you actually do it. That's why energy management is a real thing. So I'm not going to waste my energy worrying about what people think of me because honestly, I don't give a shit. I really do not. I'm in charge of creating my life. And so your opinion, no offense, rest of the world, doesn't matter to me.
Well, and everyone's so focused on their own problems and their own life anyways. When we think people are judging us, they're not. They're more worried about their own problems, their own debt, their relationships, their family. We're so consumed with our own problems and goals all the time because the law of polarity, anytime that a thought pops into our mind, like today I'm thinking, even though I had kind of I don't feel like working out today. I'll say that. I don't feel like working out today, but I'm going to. Even though I'm probably not going to go and lift weights like I normally would because I'm not feeling 100% today, I'm still going to go to the gym and at least walk on the incline for 30 minutes. It's going to be something.
Yeah.
But if I were to try to lie to myself and say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lift weights today, I'm going to do this, I would have a poor workout. I would probably only last like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'd feel even worse. So knowing where our energy is at and how we can use it the most productively. Is productively a word?
I think so.
It is now.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yes.
I think that that's one of the best things we can do is give ourselves that little bit of discipline. And even if it means kind of adjusting, be married to the mission, not the method of getting things done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. We've talked about most of these tips and tricks, but I want to give you a list of things so that you can really apply these to help us focus. The things that we exercise all the time. One, creating deadlines or adding pressure. We have to have a deadline. When we signed the lease for our office, we said, okay, how long do we want to give ourselves to do renovations before we bring clients in? We set a deadline and we said we're going to have people come to an office launch party on July 12th. And that's our drop dead date where we need to have things done by so that we can show the world, hey, this is what we're doing. So we set the deadline because it created this pressure, self-induced, but it created this pressure for us to work efficiently and not get derailed. And
that
also,
sense of urgency.
Yeah, and also not like mosey on through this project and stretch it out for forever because we're not, again, our mission is to be able to utilize this office. If we're dragging our feet and preventing utilization, it doesn't align with the goal. So we have to do that. We have to eliminate or minimize our distractions, especially in your environment. So again, your environment on the exterior is a reflection of what's going on the inside. So if your house is a mess, your brain is a mess. Clean it up. Don't let that be the reason why you're not getting your shit done.
Yep.
Create a plan. generate interest. We talked about focus being a product of your interest. If you're not interested in it and you have to be, generate interest. Figure out why getting this task done is going to be fantastic. Why are you interested in it? You have to answer the question.
Something that Bob used to have us do, which Jason still does to this day, and actually I'm so excited, goal cards. So you write down your goal and you say, I am so happy and grateful now that XYZ, whatever your goal is. And the most important part is you date your goal card.
Yes.
You give yourself that deadline, but you carry it with you. So every time you touch your pocket, mine's in my wallet and my purse. Every time I touch my purse, I think of my goal. And it pushes me to say, okay, even though, again, example, even though I don't feel like working out, this is what my goal is. I'm thinking about the outcome versus the process of it. And Jason's getting ready to order us some metal engraved goal cards for like our big goals that we have.
That's
those,
cool.
Well, it's so cool. I'm so excited. But those little things that it generates interest and it gets us excited about what we're doing.
Yes. Create and ride the wave. You have to be responsible for ultimately cultivating the right energy to get the wave going, the energy wave, right? And ride that wave when it hits. Take breaks when you hit a block.
Yep.
We're not always going to feel like doing things. So maybe instead of trying to like grind through it miserably and making mistakes, you just take a break, go for a walk, play with your dog, whatever you need to do, talk to a friend. Find a way to tap into some new refreshed energy when you hit a slump.
Yep.
And then know your strengths. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Sometimes delegation is a way for us to stay focused on the things that matter.
Yep.
For me, I'm not great at social media. So the amount of time I'd have to spend in trying to figure out how to make a reel is just not in my mind. Like the trade-off is not there.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it to Sarah, who knows what the hell she's doing and does it way better than me. And I don't need to mess with it. That's not something that I need to grind my way through because to me, social media would be a grind.
Well, it wouldn't be the best use of your energy.
No.
And if it's not the best use of your energy, then you're not going to feel good about what you're doing. You're not going to feel good about the outcome. I will sometimes set a timer. Jason does this all the time.
Chris does this too.
Set a timer and say, okay, I'm getting really frustrated with XYZ that I'm doing. I'm going to take a 15-minute break and I'm going to go on a walk with my kid. Maybe I'm going to go get a little snack, but I set a timer so that I can come back to what I'm doing and not let myself off that mental hook of doing
That's right.
what I need to do.
That's great.
Yes.
I love that. And then the last thing, plan your big 3. What are your 3 top priorities for the week? I do it on Sundays so that I can walk into Monday feeling confident about where I'm spending my time that week and what I'm prioritizing. And then each day, you also should have a big 3.
Yeah.
And this is, again, maybe your big 3 is like a big 4 or a big 2 or 1. It doesn't matter. Just know what your main priorities are each week, each day, because those stack up. You have 52 weeks in a year.
And they go by fast.
So fast. Before you know it, like a new Monday pops up and it's faster than you thought it would be. And if we don't go into each week with a strong intention and focus, you're going to be doing things that pop up along the way versus things that you've decided and you've said are your main priorities.
Yep. Well, then it's the string theory. Like if you have a string hanging off your shirt and you don't just like cut it or tie it off, and then that string is getting pulled and your shirt is slowly unraveling because you didn't just do what you needed to do in that moment. And I think especially for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of parents, having that structure is literally a make or break. Like Jason has a group that he has people in called the non-negotiables. Every single day they send him their list, their goals, okay? And if they don't do their non-negotiables, what they said they're going to do, they have to either do 50 burpees or they have to send cash money to his account. That's the type of accountability some people need to get their stuff done.
And they volunteer for that.
They volunteer for it. They pay for it. And he said, it's so unique because people will pay you to tell them how to do something they already know how to do.
Yeah.
But it's the accountability, it's the deadline, it's the pressure.
Yep.
But what you get out of it, in his mind, he's like, if you don't do these things, you get a positive outcome if you choose to do the burpees. Because what's the worst case scenario? You're going to be looking amazing.
Right. Either way, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. But if they don't want to even do the burpees, then you got to pay for it. You got to have some skin in the game because you don't value what you don't pay for.
Yeah.
So then you got to choose, but it's that pressure, but having a positive outcome. And you could do that for yourself and say, okay, potty training my daughter. Every time she sits on the potty, she gets 3 mini M&Ms. If she poops on the toilet, she gets 6.
Oh my gosh.
That's a pretty good deal for her. So when we first started doing this, she wasn't excited about going to the bathroom on her own. Now she takes herself in there, she takes her stool in there, and she does her business, and she comes out and she literally holds her hand out and she'll go, I want my M&Ms. What?
Yeah.
Because we've programmed her that this is a positive thing. So if you need to give yourself some positive reinforcement and say, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get myself a ice cream bar at the end of the day. If I do my workout, I'm going to treat myself this weekend. You can give yourself positive things instead of saying, well, I didn't get this done, so I'm not going to give myself this thing. We don't want to put negative barriers on ourselves, so try to give yourself something exciting to look forward to.
Well, and if you do mess up, use that regret to fuel action.
Yep.
Right? You want to use that negative feeling that you're feeling because, oh, I didn't do this and I should have. Use that to take constructive action next time. Tap into that feeling of regret when you're then in the moment of making the choice to do the thing that's going to help you or not do the thing that's going to help you.
Yep.
And use that feeling. Do I want to feel like that again? Well, no.
It's like girl math. If I'm like, okay, I didn't get lunch for myself today out to eat. I packed my lunch. So that means I can reward myself with something later. Maybe not financially reward myself, but I'm gonna go home and make myself an ice cream sundae with stuff that I have at home. So we can trick our mind into giving us that little happy hormone.
Yeah.
But I think too, all of this in vision also includes health and our sleep, especially knowing, 70% of our serotonin is made in our gut.
Yeah.
If we're not eating healthy, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not even giving our body the opportunity to feel those happy hormones, which is weird. I did not know that until my adult life, that all of that was made in our guts.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's a great segue because where we're headed next is the health domain. And just to put a bow on the focus conversation, if there are things you are trying to get done, send us a message. If it's a struggle, we'd love to give you some real life coaching. And so send us a message. Let us know what you're struggling with. Let us know what you've tried already so that we can help give you some new thoughts to consider and potentially help you find a path to more focus and productivity.
Yep.
We would love to hear from you. But for now, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.